to Sans Carne, Meals Without Meat. I'm Sarah Taylor, I'll be your host. Tonight we're cooking from a non-vegetarian cookbook. It's called Just One Pot. My mom dropped it off one day and said that there were some vegetarian recipes in the back. So to my surprise, I did find one. This one's called Parmesan cheese risotto with mushrooms. So they took care of us by throwing in a few vegetarian recipes in a non-vegetarian recipe cookbook. So there's actually a little bit of prep time in the beginning of this meal. A lot of vegetables go into it. We're working with 8 ounces of sliced mushrooms. I've already sliced most of these up. 2 stalks of celery, 1 red pepper, and about a medium onion. I just used half of an onion. So I'm just gonna finish cutting these up here to add them to the stove over behind me. And also 2 cloves of garlic go in this, and I've already prepared them here. Okay, and our mushrooms. I'm tempted to buy organic mushrooms when I see them at the grocery store, but the price is still keeping me from making that purchase. One day we'll switch to it. I tell my husband that we're saving the money on the meat, not buying the meat, that we might as well spend the extra money on the organic, but I haven't won that argument yet. All right, now we're gonna finish up over at the stove, so join me. Okay, now we're over at the stove. The first thing that I have going is the 2 tablespoons of vegetable oil is very hot on our pot or pan here, and I also have 4 cups of vegetable stock boiling. I don't make my own vegetable stock. I don't feel that I have the time, or I'm not that adventurous, so I just buy it from the store in the organic section. We're gonna add 1 cup of arborio rice to the oil. I learned recently that arborio rice is the same as risotto rice. Didn't realize that after I went to 3 grocery stores trying to find risotto. Couldn't find it. I Twittered it and then ended up finding out immediately from a bunch of friends that it's the same as arborio. So whatever. We're gonna let this heat. The rice is gonna heat on the stove here for 2 to 3 minutes. So we're stirring constantly our rice on the oven here, and now we're ready to add most of our ingredients. We're gonna add our red bell peppers to the mix, the celery, and the onion. Some nice color there, as well as the garlic. Bring this over. Okay. So we'll mix this in, and these are gonna cook for 5 minutes. We're gonna continue to stir them for 5 minutes. And then at the last couple of minutes, past 5, we're gonna add mushrooms to the mix. To contain the heat, I might throw a lid on this to help it cook a little bit faster. Let's add the mushrooms. We're gonna add these in, and these are gonna cook 2 to 3 minutes. I like my mushrooms to really be cooked, so sometimes I end up cooking them a little bit longer, because once you add the broth, the mushrooms don't tend to turn into that real dark brown after that point. So I'll probably add the lid to the pot as well while these are cooking. At the same time too, we're gonna add 1 teaspoon of oregano. I just realized I'm running out of oregano, so I'm just gonna use the rest of my little container here. Okay, maybe not the whole thing. So we'll mix this in and we'll let this cook 2 to 3 minutes. And then the next part, we're gonna be adding our broth. All right, now we're gonna be adding ladle by ladle the broth to the mix here. So you wanna make sure that it's boiling, and it is over here. I'm gonna scooch it a little closer. Try not to make a mess. And you want it to be bubbling, the mixture to be bubbling, so make sure you're probably on about medium heat. And you're gonna do ladle by ladle and continue to turn your stove down once the level of the broth starts to go down. But the risotto slowly absorbs the liquid, and you want to wait till it pretty much has absorbed each ladle before you continue adding another one. So it takes a while. It probably takes a good 20 minutes. All right, I think we're ready for the second ladle here. So I'm gonna fill her up and bring her over. The higher your heat is, the faster the liquid is gonna be absorbed into your risotto. At least that's what I think. It's my theory. So this is the long haul, waiting for the liquid to be absorbed in between each ladleful. So while you're waiting, maybe grab a drink, talk to some friends, put on some music, and just relax while you're waiting about probably 20 minutes for this to cook through, for each ladle to be absorbed by the risotto. Okay kids, we are now ready to wrap this up. Our risotto is now creamy, so what I've opted to do, and the recipe does call for it, it's optional, is to add 1/4 cup of sun-dried tomatoes for flavor. So I'm gonna add these to the mix here, and also salt and pepper to taste. So I'm probably gonna throw in some pepper. I know that the vegetable stock is pretty salty as is, so I'm not gonna add any salt. So we'll stir this together, and we will be probably waiting another 2 minutes or so. Now this recipe could be vegan if you don't put the Parmesan cheese at the end. So it says to fold in about 1/4 cup of Parmesan cheese, grated Parmesan cheese. I use the shaved cheese and just sprinkle it on top and let it melt when I serve this dish. Has a nice flavor to it. I say we're about ready to put this in a serving dish and try it. The house smells great and I'm starving. All right, we're all finished. We have our Parmesan cheese risotto with mushrooms finished. Like I said, am opting to put the Parmesan cheese on top instead of folding it in. And that's it. Like I said, you can make it vegan if you don't add the Parmesan cheese. And we are now about to enjoy another meal, sans carne, without meat. Thanks for joining.